We didn't get a chance to ask you about or talk to you about Alex Pietrangelo deciding to pull out of Four Nations. Just your thoughts on that and him deciding to heal up and prepare for the second half of the season.
Well, as the coach or on the coaching staff for Team Canada, it's a bummer. He's a good player, excels in those type of environments. As the coach of the Vegas Golden Knights, an opportunity for him to rest and recover a little bit. He's been playing through a little bit of an injury here, so should be better off for it getting rest as opposed to playing. So tough decision. He has to make that call, and he did, and we all have to live with it.
His injury, is it something that you'll have to monitor between now and before the break, or is it something that he can continue?
Yeah, I'm going to leave that up to him. It's something he can clearly play with and has, but I don't know if he can do it forever, right? Like at some point there needs to be it needs to be addressed, and he chose this time because we have the time off, right? So organization comes first. He understands that, and that's a decision he made, and it was too bad. He's playing good hockey for us, playing through it, so it'll be even better coming out of it. Probably mentally more than everything. That's what happens. It was like Carlson was playing through a little bit of stuff, and now he's getting, himself looked after and needs time off. So that's just part of the rigors of hockey. That sometimes you get through it, sometimes you need a break.
Coach, Shea Theodore has always had a lot of offensive upside, but he's having a season, that's on par with some of the elite defensemen in the league. So what have you seen from him that's kind of allowed him to elevate his game to that level?
Well, there's a confidence level once you start making plays. I think it comes more freely for you. You're not in your own way. When things don't go well, that's what happens. It's not your physical attributes, like unless you're playing through an injury, but he's not. And that goes to the second part. His health. He is healthy. His health's been good. I think that allows you to play to the top of your game. Some years, I know a couple of years ago he needed a surgery in the middle of the year, so that can affect you. This year, that's not the case. He's feeling good every day. I think that the partnership with McNabb is always good for Theo. Maybe he's just a happy guy because he's a new dad and life's good. You never know. Sometimes that mental coming to the rink every day in a good place can help you get to your game. So there's probably a combination of all those things. I think our power play, the fact that it's going well and it runs through him at the top, Jack at the elbow, gives him confidence too. If you're an offensive defenseman, you're getting your touches in those situations, accumulating points, it matters. It does, because sometimes that's how you're judged. So for him, he probably feels better about his game because that's a part of the game that's going really well for him and our team.
Is Lavoie playing tonight?
He is.
And what do you expect out of him, or what are you looking for out of him?
Well, as a player that I don't know well, because this is his first time we've seen him in this building and with our jersey on. He wasn't here for training camp. Expectations will be, hey, go play your game, compete, do your job to help the team win. As a winger, that's be good on the walls, get in the shooting lanes in D zone when it's comes up to your side, reload, forecheck, do your job in D zone. All those things are what we'll expect from him. We'll see what his strengths are, what he brings in the offensive side of things. I know he has that on his resume. He's got a big shot. Sometimes you need power play opportunities to do that. I don't know if we'll see him in that situation or not. That may come, but so at the end of the day, try to relax and play. We play similar styles as Henderson, so that there shouldn't be a lot of teaching there. That part of it should come. The system part naturally. Now it's a matter of going playing at a higher level, see what you can do.
From the game in Dallas where you weren't terribly good in front of the net to the game against Florida where you are great in front of the net, it's been kind of that way most of the season. Is it just desire? Is it how can it change that easily?
Well, challenges. Early in the game we were good against Dallas that way, and then as the game went on we lost some battles there. They were a little more resilient than us. They're competitive. Listen, we're always competitive, but they won some of those battles. So what typically happens is the next time you go play a game, you want to be better at it. That's what our team's good at. They take a lot of pride in their work, especially our D. They're big, and that's their identity. So they've got to their game and realized they have to do that. So now are they going to keep, hey, this is us, we're going to keep this thing going, or are we going to revert back a little bit? So those are the challenges in season all the time. It's why there's inconsistencies during the year. We pointed some of that out this morning in our video. We'll do some more in the pre-scout. So let's hope it's more like Florida and less like the second period in Dallas. So you're not going to win every battle. They're going to get some pucks to the net, and they're going to win some races for it. But at the end of the day, we have to win more. And we have to box out better, have to get under sticks better than we did up there in the second period, if we expect to keep the puck out of our net.
After you won the Stanley Cup, Alec Martinez said he started to say Bruce's adjustments were really good, and then he stopped himself and said, "You know what? The truth of it is, without the adjustments Bruce made along the way, we wouldn't have won the Stanley Cup." Those were his words.
Well, I appreciate that. That's very
You
kind.
made an adjustment the other night that helped your team win the game. When did you, as a coach, start to believe in or have confidence? It's one thing to think it. It's another thing to actually go to Mark Stone and say, we're moving you down and we're moving him up. When did you get the confidence to do that as a coach?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, some of it happened in Boston. In Washington, I was young, so there's a lot of learning between that job and Boston. So then you get there, you have more miles on you, so to speak. It was a lot at the American League level, then the NHL, and you start, I don't know, I guess it's just you feel like that's what's necessary, and you got to do it. You got to make some tough calls along the way with personnel, and you got to make some tactical decisions that you believe in because your eyes tell you that's what needs to be done. And so I don't know. I think the playoff run in Boston really helped Gary. We lost in Game 7, so it was 24 games of high-intensity playoffs, and so you learn from that. Even though we didn't win, you learn a lot along the way, and that would have helped me a lot the first year with Vegas. And then there's just your room. Like that year, I felt like this team, the team we had and still have, their hockey IQ is very good. So you can make some of those adjustments without worrying about, okay, is this going to affect this part of our game or do we have to practice it for a week? They're very good at that. They are. It's a very cerebral group. It was 3 years ago. It still is now. A little maybe younger this year, but still. The guys that you can, especially the decor, you can talk to them and, okay, this is what we're seeing. What do you see? And you get some back and forth. So I think that's what happened a lot that year. And still is, for that matter, because most of those D are still here. The forward group, yeah, still a core of those. Like I said, some newer guys, but it probably happened in Boston along the way and kind of solidified itself that year because of the group in the room. It seemed like when we made adjustments, there was no fighting, right, to get them to do it. They bought into it, so good on them. And so I think for that to work, it's like any relationship. They have to trust that you're making the right calls, and I have to trust that I am making the right calls, that they can do it and handle it. And I think that's how I think coaches and players coexist in teams that have to make some of those changes. There has to be a mutual respect and trust for one another. You're never going to be best friends with, players all the time, and you treat them as, they're human beings first and hockey players second, but there has to be that trust and respect. And I think we had that year, and it developed in Boston, so I had the confidence to do it here. That's just how I feel those things get done and are able to get done.
Back to Shea. Was the plan all along to run the power play more through the top, or did that happen organically because of the option on the right side?
No, it was going to go through Jack. But he's the guy touching the puck first on entries, right? He goes back to get it. If we win the face-off, Theo's the one touching it first because he's the D-back usually. So, and usually when your first original entry, the puck, you drive it deep somehow, and then it gets back up top and it starts there. So he's usually the guy that starts it, but Jack is the one that he will get the most touches, I would think, if we charted that. So it's a little bit of both those guys. It's Theo is the original, and then Jack as it moves forward. And Stoney, I would say, because if you look at our power play, it's two righties that handle the puck a lot, and it's the three lefties that are doing most of the shooting, usually. So it's a good setup that way. And I would say Theo's in between. It's Pav and Hurdle do a lot of the shooting, passes from Jack, and and Stoney, the way we move it around, and Theo's somewhere in between. He's certainly a distributor, but he's also a guy that they have to respect a shot up top. And that's why it's worked well. I don't think you can take away one option from our power play and say they're done. I think, we've done a good job with going to plan option A, B, C, D, and E. There's 5 guys in the ice, and they all have an opportunity to make their players shoot. I think we've tried to use all those options, practice all those options, and obviously Theo at the top usually ends up in the middle of that somewhere, either the start or the end.
Keep going back with Aiden Hill, giving him 2 or 3 starts now in a row. Just the importance of getting him back on a rhythm, and
Yeah, I talked to Berkey about that. He obviously knows the goaltenders inside and out. Thought maybe some consecutive starts might be good for Aiden, get him a little bit of a role. Sometimes then it becomes, okay, so if Sammy hasn't played, are we practicing or not? So he gets some. You can go out there by yourself all day long, but you need some people around you usually. So there's a little bit of that went into it. We looked at our practice schedule and try to string a few together for Aiden. But we're not gonna. You don't want to leave your, Sammy too long between starts, because that's not good for, especially unless you're used to that all the time, the backup. But we're not. We never want him to go more than 7-8 days. Typically, if you can help it, unless there's a quirky schedule, and so that's a little bit of the discussion. And so Hilly will go again tonight, and I would expect we'll see Sammy in there Thursday, but we'll worry about that then.